Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another video. This time I'm going to be doing a deck profile since it's been a while since I did this kind of video, and I've been switching it up throughout the past because you know me, I'm going back and forth trying to entertain you guys. But besides hearing my mumbling, let's get straight to the deck profile. Obviously starting off, we're maxing out on 3 Ash Blossoms for obvious reasons because it's very clutch and it stops your opponent from their consistency and can help you near and both the beginning and near the end of the game. And this is something different. We're maxing out on 3 Moye. I was trying to figure whether I needed the Ecclesia Tuna Monster, but realizing that the more, because you don't even have to play Ecclesia. It's up to you though. If you're playing pure Sortel, then I would consider playing maxing on Ecclesia. But in this deck, it's not necessary. But the reason why we're playing 3 Moye, because you'll find out later once you check out my extra deck. But not on top of this, on top of that, allows you to reveal a Sortel or Worm monster from your hand, special summon of a level 4 Worm Tuner monster, and then when it's used for a sync or something, it allows you to draw 1 card, which is incredibly useful. And I feel like it is mandatory at 3 because consistency is very important in helping you get closer to the cards that you want. And we're playing 2 Tai because this card can be a game changer as well. It's because if you happen to have a Sword Soul or Worm monster in your grave, you banish it and you get to special summon like the same thing, similar to Moye, a level 4 Worm Tuner monster. And to the virtual monsters, we're playing 2 9 This is definitely the right ratio because you want to make sure you don't have too many normal summons, so you can special summon more monsters later. As for prime example, 3 Lily, which allows you to send off more virtual cards from your deck to the grave, double actually. On top of that, it's an easy special summon as long as you have a virtual world monster on or a virtual card face up on the field. Well, pretty much that's how the majority of the cards work, is that you can pretty much get easy special summons with virtual regardless of the name, but it's all as long as they send from the deck, then you get to your key monsters a lot quicker. And obviously we're maxed out 3 Lulu because it has consistency as well, allowing you to send a different virtual world card from your deck that has this different type, and allowing you to add a third type from your deck to your hand. So this is something that's very important because it actually allows pretty much, if you play this card correctly, you can pretty much get 2 cards out of your deck on top of getting like milling 1 card from your deck to the graveyard. 3 Lala, some people consider playing 2, but I think 3 is very important because you want to get to your extenders as much as possible. You get 2, because on top of that, like, it's just an incredible card. I can't say no to this card. Because this 1 card literally allows you to get 2 free special summons, basically. That's why I feel he is very useful. He's very important. Plus, you don't have many cards. I don't really have many cards in my deck that can search him besides Lulu. So I feel I want to open with him as much as possible. Even if you don't have a level 3 in your grave, it's still very important. I still believe that is mandatory because you can go to possibly a bunch of powerful level 9 synchros, or you can go into your rank 6 monsters with these. And then for the last virtual monster, we're playing Gigi. You know, good game, of course, but during it probably has one of the slower effects because although yes, you get to special summon him for free basically, but you have to wait during your end phase to add a virtual monster from your graveyard to your hand. And then obviously we're going to go straight to the spells. 3 emergency teleport, which is mandatory. Some people prefer to play 2, but I feel 3 is important because it's not a hard once per turn. You special summon 1 for your deck. It helps you get to your certain cards a lot faster. And the reason why I'm maxing out 3 of these cards, because a lot of times I'm going to normal summon my Sword Soul monsters so they can be able to get an extra additional special summon. So on top of that, you'll be able to summon your virtual world monsters later after you summon your Sword Soul, so that it keeps the engine going. And another spell, obviously, for more consistency, Sword Soul Emergence allows you to add a Sword Soul monster from your deck to your hand. And basically, if you control a synchro monster, it allows you to add 1 worm type monster from your deck to hand. And what's crazy is that with this is where Tai comes in play. This is where he comes to play. Because you banish the emergence, he pretty much becomes a level 3 and then pretty much gets you access to your level 6 synchro monster. So yeah, he can synergize really well with the virtual world as well as Moye, because the important part of the deck is you want to get strong synchro monsters. You want to get strong monsters out of your extra deck. So that's why I feel it isn't for in my case, because I know the deck very well. I pretty much took the time to look into it. I realized that what Virtual World is missing was heavy, strong monsters. So you need other monsters besides Virtual Worlds to make the deck even better. Sometimes some people don't look into that. Some people think that they should cut down the Sword Soul, but I feel regardless, Sword Soul can really make a huge impact on this deck and pretty much come forward and do whatever is necessary to combat against even more powerful monsters. Besides that, we're playing 3 Kaloon. Very important card. There's no ifs or buts. You have to max out on this card. Very powerful card. Allows you to activate Chuchi or any virtual continuous spell trap from your deck to the field face up. And then considering people forget how powerful this card is, being able to activate a trap from your deck is something. Because the majority of trap cards, you pretty much have to set them before you activate them. You can't even play them on the first turn. So that's why this card comes in handy. So it makes trap cards like Chuchi and Xuanwu very useful. If you were just only allowed to set them and you can find ways to access them and activate them, then there are times where people would prefer to play 1 copies or 2 copy, even though they're very accessible. Because in this format, traps are like, if you draw into a trap, odds are you might lose and you give your opponent a chance to kill you. And that's why some people prefer not to play traps. But in this deck, it is mandatory that you play 2, because you can either, so let's say they get rid of your first Chuchi, you can always be sure you manage to have a second one, just in case. But again, we're gonna go straight into our last spell. Maxing is 3 Qinglong, which is also very important too, because although you have to send a card afterwards, it's not a cost. But what's great is that at least you get a virtual world monster from your deck to hand. So if you have an extra card that you want to get rid of, be sure to get rid of that one. Because the whole point is to search out your virtual world monsters, and then they make a bigger impact. They come in clutch. They come in handy, and this card is the way to go. And you always want to be sure to max out on 3, because you want to see your virtual world monsters as much as possible, and you can easily send it off with your virtual monsters effects. And then for our traps, we're going to max on infinite permanence because you want to play more hand traps. This is sometimes it's not really entirely a spam deck, because depending how you draw, if you don't draw into Kaloon or your Qinglong, or if you don't draw into emergency teleports, then the deck becomes very slow. And then sometimes I feel like it's when you rely on infinite permanence as your backup, just in case your opponent is trying to spam a bunch of monsters and you're going second, and you want to ensure they don't commit to their plays, that you want to be able to slow them down until you have ways of drawing to certain cards to help you get into certain engines. And because this deck isn't as it is consistent, it's not as strong. Like, what I mean, it's not as strong, it's not as like broken when it comes to special summoning, but at least at the same time you can try to find ways to slow your opponent down as well on their turn by using hand traps, because some people don't rely on hand traps these days, because it feels like it takes away reaching certain win conditions. But at least this prevents your opponent from getting to that win condition. So which is, I feel, is important to play at 3, as well as if you don't have the best hand, this will come in handy just in case you need time to stall your opponent and draw into any important card that may help you go back, or be able to fix your hand and then be able to make changes to your strategy. So that's what I'm trying to say. But for our final traps, I'm pretty sure you guys know 2 Chuchi, 1 Xuanwu. I don't need to explain too much about Xuanwu, but Chuchi is important because you get to constantly target one face-up card on the field by you get to destroy the target as long as you shuffle 2 of your banished virtual cards with different names. We're gonna forget about the side deck. The most important part is the extra deck. So obviously we're playing Dragite, as I was saying. That's why the reason why I'm even maxing out Omoe, so I can make use of this card's effect, and then it comes alive. Just being able to negate an opponent's spell trap card is just very strong, and not only that, you get to negate and destroy it, which is very handy. And then you have another card that can do the same thing, which is why we're playing the level 4 tuners, why we're playing Sword Soul, so you can get easy access to Baron de Fleur. Very important card, like it says. Allows you to target a face-up card, destroy it once per turn, and then once while it's face-up, negating the card effect and destroying it, and then you can return it back to your extra deck, special summon one level 9 or lower monster in your graveyard, and then special summoning it. So that card itself is very important. Why I think that's why you need to run the Sword Soul. You can't be able to summon this card if you're not playing Sword Soul, just to let you guys know. And we're playing we're playing one Coral Dragon. Important because it is a tuner monster, helping you get access to cards like Baron de Fleur, like I said. Just being able to discard a card and target a card, destroy it, and then draw a card if you want to send it to your grave for a Synchro Summon or whatever. Crystal Wing, Synchro Dragon. We're playing Zolkin in this deck. I'm gonna show you the card, but I'm not gonna explain Zolkin, but you guys know what it does. But I'll explain Crystal Wing for people who are confused. Once per turn, can negate a monster effect that is activated and destroys it. On top of, it gains the monster's attack that was negated and destroyed, and it's only lasts until the end of this turn. And if the battles a level 5 or higher monster, it gains that attack equal to that monster's current attack that's battling, but it's only during damage calculation only. And we're going straight to the next Synchro monster, Berserker of the Tenyu. For some people, I decide not to play any of the Sword Soul monsters because I don't mean in them. I'm talking about an extra deck. Reason being is because they're not as strong as I thought it would. There is one card, I don't even know, I don't remember his name, but I think pretty much allows you to add a Sword Soul card from your deck to your hand, on top of being able to target and negate a card effect. And that's the issue I have, because yes, it's a quick effect, it allows you to target and negate a monster effect, but the problem is it's not as strong, especially with this format. Especially if players have monsters that are a lot stronger, that are possibly unaffected or can't be targeted by card effects. So, and the issue is that he's 2800, so I'm trying to get into something stronger. Well, this is why I prefer to play Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, because his effect does not target, although it doesn't negate the effect, it banishes it. And he's basically the Boros Sword of the deck, on top of, like, as being a synchro. Because if he destroys a monster, he gains the destroyed monster's attack, and then he gets attack a second time, which I feel is very useful and becomes more useful compared to the Sword Soul package in the extra deck. And again, that's my opinion, my choice, my actual deck, so I prefer him, to be honest. And for our level 9 synchro monster, we're playing Ravenous Kako Dragon Arcathis or whatever. He gains 500 for each card in your hand. And when he Synchro Summon, it allows you to draw multiple cards for each non-tuner monster used for Synchro Summon. So, although, yes, he does lack an attack, and then his last effect is pretty garbage, because you have to discard 2 cards to target 1 card straight, even though it's a quick effect. It's just that consistency is always important regardless. So you could potentially draw 2 cards in this deck, but it's like I really want to get him out so I can simply get that +1, because it's so easy to summon this card in this deck. Had he been a lot harder, then maybe, yeah, definitely I would have taken him out, but it's the fact that you can still draw as many cards as possible and helps the deck come alive. And usually, most of the time, pretty much all the time, I just, depending on the scenario, I'll most likely on my first turn, I'll special summon in defense mode, get the extra draw. Regardless how weak his stats are, it's just that it is that good to draw a card, because it's still important. Helps you thin your deck and get to your win condition, like I said before. Just like why we're playing Stardust Charge Warrior, a level 6 synchro, allowing you to draw 1 card when synchro summoned. And although you're not going to possibly attack all special summon monsters your opponent controls, but that is very situational. But if they're playing tokens, then yes, you should be able to use this effect, and it is important. Ultimate Zoken, I already explained what happens. You should already know its effect by now. Vermilio Dragon Mech, allowing you to banish a tuner monster from your hand, graveyard, or face-up field to target one card on the field and destroy it. And if it's destroyed, if this single summoned card is destroyed by a card effect set to the grave, you can target one of your banished tuners, add to your hand, which is kind of useless because you're hoping maybe it would be by battle as well, but only by a card effect. Considering looking at his attack is not that big, but it would have been better had it had 3k. Then the effect for sure would be handy, and it would be relevant. Juju, because it's a level 6 and pretty much can be indestructible by battle and card effects. While you have 2 monsters in your grave with the same original type and attribute but different names, and pretty much really easy way to target and destroy cards in the field. But it's not really destroying; it's actually sending, which can become very clever. If there are cards that can be destroyed by card effects, because there are a lot of cards that are like that. But just being able to send a card, like regardless of its type, it still comes in very handy. And Shinshin, we all guys know pretty much what he does. Basically, Macrocosmos on legs, and can special summon itself by banishing 2 monsters, other monsters from your grave with different original types and attributes from each other. Like, that's how it is. And then, again, Macrocosmos on legs. Something that you always want to have in your extra deck because this destroys pretty much the majority of the meta. And I don't know why you played Beatrice. Like, I actually am not playing Beatrice. I'm actually playing the Math Mech. Prometheus, or rather. This is the card I'm actually playing. My mistake, I forgot. I actually changed Beatrice for this card. So I'll be playing. So this is what I'm actually playing in my extra deck. So I immediately decided I was going to play Geo Math Mech Final Sigma. Simply because of the fact that you don't really summon monsters from your main to your extra monster zone. So this is the only card I would prefer summoning in the extra monster zone, unless my monster zones are already like full. Then you pretty much have no choice but to summon something else to your extra monster zone if your main monster zones are full. But the fact that he's unaffected by card effects and he has additional effects that if he's in the extra monster zone is that he can inflict double the damage and then do piercing is something that you can't miss, and just feel like that it will always come in handy whenever you need it. And plus the strongest synchro monster, I wouldn't say the strongest, but the second strongest besides Clearwing. And it's still important simply because of the fact that he gets unaffected. And you need him because there are players that definitely will use card effects to try to get rid of your cards with ease. And so that you always want to be sure to come prepared while having this card in your extra deck. And for our last, but in Xyz monsters, we're playing Constellar Ptolemy M7, allows you to retrieve your monsters from your grave to your hand. And also on top of it, you can be able to get rid of your opponent's monsters. So you can continue with using more infinite loops revolving around virtual world, possibly retrieve your soul tool, go into your stronger synchro monsters, and again which is why I really can't consider taking this card out of my extra deck. And Divine Zeus, which is easy to summon if you manage to attack with one of your or battle with your Xyz monsters. Just being on top of being able to send all other cards from the field to the grave is something that you should always consider and will always be important and will always make a huge difference in today's meta. And I really don't see this card being one of those cards where people refuse to play it. And for our last Xyz monster, we're playing Utopia Bond. Not many people choose to play it, but this card I feel is very useful and can pretty much come in clutch. Being able to win you easy games depending what your opponent has on the field, and you can be able to get around that by playing Utopia Beyond and be able to use other opportunities, other ways of trying to deal more damage. And if they screw up, if they already have monsters face up in the field, then odds are you have a better chance of OTKing your opponent with this card, depending on if you have the right setup and your opponent has pretty much used their final resort and has lost a lot of their Omni Negates, and then this will help you open for this card and be able to clear their monsters and possibly potentially for game. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. For sure, eventually I'll be doing more later in the future, and be sure that you guys should be able to stand by and check for more videos, whether it's Yu-Gi-Oh or anything you might possibly like. And again, for sure, I'm pretty sure you guys enjoy my content, and I have no issue doing more in later in the upcoming future. And I said before, and this is not going to be the final time that I say this, be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.